Reviewing I Lay Down My Life For You by Jpegmafia. Jpegmafia is an artist that took me a while to get in tune with all the way. I took a brief listen to his music many years ago, and at first it just seemed way too alternative for me. So I didn't pay attention to his releases until I heard he was collaborating with an artist who I'd been a fan of for a long time, Danny Brown, on last year's collab project, Scaring the Hoes. That project, as alternative moments as it does have, is way closer to a rap album than what I had heard from Jpegmafia to that point, so I perked up my ears to make sure to listen to whatever else he put out. Now this year he drops a solo effort, I Lay Down My Life For You, a project I did not know what to expect from pressing play, but after listening through, I can say I was surprised in the best way possible by an album created by very likely a musical genius. Someone who can blend genres and sounds in ways that only people like Kanye or Tyler the Creator have done, and in a way entirely his own. It opens up with I scream this in the mirror before I interact with anyone. This intro brings in what I hear as a major influence on this album, being the genre of nu metal. The guitars on this record and many tracks on this album are reminiscent of bands like System of a Down, Slipknot, and Disturbed. Lyrically, JPEG Mafia is determined to not rap like anyone else, whether it be the effects he put over his vocals or social commentary bars like, I hate when these bitches be begging your boy for some cash and turn around and say, eat the rich. That most rappers' content is not on, while still saying things like, I'm Debo, we're not equal, they all miss like Shaq at the free throw, a kind of more standard, I'm better than you rap line. All of these elements make for a weird ass but hard ass track. Then is the single Sin Medio, a record that meshes a Two Live Crew vocal sample and a hard synth melody that switches into more nu metal guitars. At the 2 minute mark, it switches again into a wild techno house outro with another synth melody. JPEG Mafia is a god at these outros, and combining sounds that make for an addictive listen that keeps you on the edge of your headphones, wondering what the song will morph into next. The vibe changes heavily on the third track, I'll Be Right There, slows down and chills out with a Kanye late registration era type beat, sampling 90s Chicago R&B group Jade. He conforms lyrically on this record as the flow and content is not nearly as left or alternative as the previous track's production calls for. The verse on the song is one just about any rap fan could identify as hard. You can tell he keeps up with the news or internet culture, with lines like, I go Amber Rose with these MAGA raps, and these niggas connected like Bronny. For real, that nepotism won't help you in the field. Very tough. This leads into Dark and Hell is Hot. Do not be tricked by the title of this record being the same as a DMX album. This song is not traditional hip hop focus like the one before it. This song sounds like some type of satanic chant that you hear the devil will consume you, or something when you play it backwards. Something your parents would be concerned if they heard you listening to. The production was cool, cyberpunk house type sound, but overall a little too weird for me to really like. But this miss is immediately made up for by New Black History featuring Vince Staples. A new age interpolation of an odd futury type instrumental fits perfectly for Vince, and at the same time, Peggy cannot help but mash something else in and make it fit by adding in a vocal sample from Future's Covered in Money. Another record that feels like rap and not too alternative, definitely one of my favorites. Don't Rely on Other Men is not a record I enjoyed that much. The main instrumental is just a bit boring to me. I thought that some of the lines were funny and connected with, like, I bought my bitch some compartments, she thicker than Cartman. She can't fuck no regular dude. I just thought that was funny. Would you really want your girl to be as thick as Air Cartman? I don't know. But it's a rap song, right? Another bar I connected a lot with. Who told these wiggers that acting like niggas was ever the vibe of the mood? Never too big a fan of when white people like try to act as black as possible, or when mixed people try to act as black as possible, and when anyone tries to act as what they think black is. Very corny. And to me, the outro outshines the main part of the record as the ending boasts a heavenly guitar outro that just has you floating away. I almost skip to the end when I listen to that song. Vulgar Display of Power to me sounds like some Rage Against the Machine type shit, a new age version of rap metal. If you like death grips or drugs, this one is for you. Cool chants over the guitars and really dope shredding, as well as DJ scratches on this one, made me feel like I'm in middle school, discovering and falling in love with Slipknot and System of a Down all over again. Another one of my favorites on the project. G.I. Joe is okay to me. Sounds like an inferior version of Vulgar Display of Power, and honestly, a skip for me. But then it's Ex-Military, another one of my favorite beats on the project. It's like a Wu-Tang sample that morphs into what sounds like to me is a cloud rap Clans Casino X switch up, and then another super ill outro that builds off the first switch up. He's unbelievably sick with these beat switches and outros. He makes them blend so flawlessly, I can't get enough of them. Then it's JPEG Ultra featuring Denzel Curry, probably my favorite track on the whole album. A jazzy horn-led beat that sounds like Kendrick Lamar's Rigor Mortis but on acid makes for the perfect backdrop for the hard-ass lyrical verses from both artists. I love this comment on underground artists making music that no one wants to hear. It's really interesting to me because JPEG Mafia's music is the farthest from mainstream, but also extremely far from what a common fan would think of as underground, like a random SoundCloud rapper. JPEG Mafia's underground is like Bandcamp artsy underground, something where the ceiling for it is much higher than 99% of a SoundCloud rapper. And then there's another sick ass guitar outro with these cool ass wailing vocals over it. It's like drugs. Now, the last four tracks is where I feel like the album falls off a bit to me. I was just so enthralled by the first 10 tracks. I felt like the energy just left at the tail end of the album. I love the beat on Loop It and Leave It. It gives like a Rock Marcy, Griselda type vibe. And on Don't Put Anything on the Bible, the bar, you niggas make it look trendy to trauma bond. To me, this is something that speaks to my generation, especially younger people. It's totally fine to so many people to just live life as a trauma response and not try to get better. I also thought the messaging of the last track, I Recover From This, was cool. It's about self accountability and realizing your own faults. Something that older people, I think, can connect with way more than younger people who like to look for others to blame. But when I get to On or Off the Drugs, I find myself wanting to go back to the beginning of the album where the energy is just so much more magnetic and chaotic and sounds that I enjoyed a lot more. Overall, I feel similarly about this album as I did Childish Gambino's new project. I Lay Down My Life for You is for fans of music and not just hip hop. If a metal guitar chord comes on and you instantly want to skip, you should not even try this project out. But if you like music and you want to hear someone who does something lyrically and especially production wise that no one else can do, and in a way that is actually stunning, give this a good listen and you will not be disappointed. Scoring JPEG Mafia's I Lay Down My Life for You a 9.4 out of 10, fucking godlike.